Welcome. It's Monday morning. Well, for some of us anyway. 11 a.m. Mountain is when we have this show, and you can start asking your questions below. I'll go ahead and put the ticker up so you can have some ideas as to what you can ask about. We have an amazing question already that has come through from our Facebook group. And if you're not already a member of that, I'll put a link in the comments so you can check that out. Anyway, let's dive into the daily energy. What do you say, Martina?
Yeah, let's do this. I didn't even get a glance beforehand. So, right and on the spot, let's see here. What's going on around us? Well, this is interesting because I've heard, I think it was just last week, I heard someone talking about the winds of change, and then that, like, energetically, I'm like, oh, here it is. Let me describe what I'm seeing here. It's like a goldish, seeing like a goldish white hue in the sky, which is really, like, for me, when I see some of those colorings, it's very much like a divine energy there. So it's kind of like, it reminds me of almost sweeping, where it's just going to sweep and start moving some stuff out. It's very fitting, especially the last couple months. It feels like, well, even last year, it feels like there's been a lot of uprooting. Like, let's pull things out and clean them up and align yourselves with truth. There's been a lot of that energy. And so now this is just a big time, and let's move it out. So it's just this big sweeping energy that's coming across. And the reason for the increase of intensity too, or the increase of the winds, is it's like, yes, it's going to easily just wash away or blow away any of the little debris. But it's like, I'm seeing that there are some winds that are going to be a little bit stronger, just so that it's, I don't know why, I'm picturing a power washer. Or like if you're spraying a hose outside and you're like washing down your driveway or whatever, and then it's like just like normal, but then all of a sudden you put your finger on it and it does like a faster stream and it's able to clean things up a bit more. So it feels like this wind is a little bit faster, but it's to get those little pieces that just needed a little bit more to get them gone and to be blowing them aside. Let's see what else there is. So I'm seeing little like on the ground, I'm seeing some little, like, I want to see buildings or structures. There's some things that are going to be knocked down by it. There is a bit more, this is kind of sad in a way, but I'm seeing some pain. I see some kind of red, like bright red, like, which kind of signifies to me that there's going to be some, like, people getting hurt by some of the things that are going to be going on right now and what's kind of coming. This doesn't look like it's a quick energy. It's going to be kind of lasting a little bit. So I see a little bit of pain, but then I'm almost seeing, I also see, and this is kind of the sad part, is it's like, I'm seeing people feeling really weary. Like, some of the challenges over the last year just getting to them. It's like, when is it going to stop? Is this done yet? Can this be done? And in a way, it brings a level of submission, I guess, is what it is. It's kind of that, like, it can feel kind of hopeless and like, oh, more like, what's this? But at the same time, I actually also see that it's a very divine principle, where when you have that place of submission, it also opens up higher levels of humility, resiliency, also just non-attached, like it's clearing off any of those attachments to false things. So if you've put your self-worth in on image, or how much money you have, or how well things are going, and then things aren't going well, it makes you kind of reflect inward and just kind of realign yourself. So I feel that there's a lot of great gifts with this, as you can realign. Also too, it does give experience. It's like, I'm kind of seeing how it's really windy outside my house. Actually, I just thought of, I'm like hearing the wind outside. Is it windy everywhere right now? I don't know. Like, energetically it is. It's not just where I live. I'm like seeing these winds. These are like all over collectively. some of the gifts here, I also see, it kind of reminds me of, I remember like when I went through something really, really hard in about like when I was like 18, and it was really hard, and there was like high levels of trauma and grief, and I was processing a lot, and I was surrounded by my friends, and they're like, ha, did these pants make my butt look big? And I was just looking at them going, that is the dumbest problem to have, because the problem is like this big. I'm processing something this big, and you're over here talking about something that's like minuscule. But I'm not blaming them, because they hadn't had some of that life experience to show them the challenges. So that's kind of what it feels like that you guys, or that all of us are receiving right now, is just some higher levels of awareness and abilities to be objective and to overcome. So so it's like good, but yet also it's good. It's all good, right? All of this can be good, and we can be strengthened through it.
All growth is good. Struggle is good.
Struggle is good. Yep.
Much as we don't want to admit it.
Yep.
Okay, well, the first person that we're going to go to is Andrew. Now, Andrew posted this in our Facebook group, and I've put the link to our Facebook group if you guys aren't already a member of our Facebook group. He posted the following. This is Andrew. He's new to our group, and he says, I'm a chiropractor. I would love to hear what you see of my intuitive gifts. He also mentioned in his message, not sure if it's relevant or not, that he's been looking at adding energy work into his practice, and he's just exploring how that would look. So
yeah, that's exciting. That is really exciting. All right, so let's look at this, Andrew. Welcome. Great question. I'm excited to look at this. Oh, Andrew, I see some fun gifts for you, especially kind of with the mind and your eyes. So, like spiritual sense wise, that would be like maybe a clear knowing and even clear seeing. But it just looks like your eyes. In fact, we saw a pattern like this last week with somebody too. It's a similar pattern to this, where the eyes are just the receivers. Like you're so observant, like you're an observant person and kind of a watcher, like you watch and absorb, and it's like you take in information through your eyes, and then there's something about your mind where you just have an understanding, things. I'm definitely seeing some gifts with the human body and knowing how it works, and almost like you could, in your mind's eye and in your thoughts, like you just have this understanding of how something would work, or how different parts like correlate and interact with each other. And also too, like perhaps you even have some insight into some more like maybe they're just like not common practices, but for some reason your head is like, okay, this would work for this client. And if they're like, well, how do you know it would work? You're like, I just know, because you just have that understanding, and a very unique way to view it, and finding unique and individual solutions for their problems. So that's really cool. And I do also see gifts down to your hands as well. So it makes sense in a chiropractor. But it moves beyond just your hands, because it's like, obviously I can see you doing some adjustments there with like knowing what to do, going through your hands, knowing how to help them that way. But I would actually like to even extend that pattern into other things too, where it's just, you just know what to do. It's like a very, oh, here's what it is, and now I must do it. I mean, like, I honestly too, I could even see this if you like have a garden. All of a sudden you're looking at the garden going, how is it going to make my garden plants grow better? Oh, here's an instant idea. And now I'm out there in my garden, and I'm planting in a certain way, making sure I do certain things to make my garden flourish. And so if you can kind of see how it would just be with everything, the way, even if you have like a spouse or children or people you relate to, it's like, oh, I think I know how to do something, and let me put it into action in my hands and help them. So all of that is a very, really cool flow in the way you have that. I can see, like when I'm looking at your chiropractic, like your practice, and integrating some of the energy work, as you said, and I can totally see it coming in very streamlined. The only things that I would say would be possibly getting in your way are maybe some of the outlooks, or maybe some of the beliefs around energy work, and not necessarily like the way that you believe it to be done, but the way that you think other people are going to receive it. So you may have some false beliefs in there about like, oh, people are going to think I'm way woo woo or I'm far out there. And so they're not going to take me as serious. Like it's going to make you feel like you lose some credentials or some respect just because you're doing this energy work there. So, but it's interesting because that's actually that's what's blocking the way to having it work and be successful. I do see that in your mind and kind of in the way that you present things to people, you do like it to be kind of practical and to have have it make sense. And so if you just lean into that, people are going to completely resonate with it. And I'm speaking from experience on this. This is like how I like to do it too. I mean, I do some pretty woo-woo stuff like right here, right now, but like some people might think like, well, this is strange. But as far as like the way that energy works, our bodies work, like quantum mechanics, like if you just lean into some of that stuff, the whole mind body, the way how everything's connected, the mind gut. I mean, there's so many connections there. The subtle body energies, you can find ways to almost show people. And so if you just lean into talking about it more in the scientific way and practical way, and even teach people, oh, this feels really good for you too. Have some kind of like check method so that people can experience it. So for example, like even when I would go to a chiropractor, he always did the arm muscle testing for me. But if you're having them experience maybe like a sway test or have them experience something to show that their body responds to it. And so that when you're testing it and you're doing it, then they have their own evidence that's being created. And so it's not strange. It just is because they're having their experiences. And that feels very supportive to you and the professionalism that you also love to have in your practice. But as well as knowing that it's not a full practice if you're only doing adjustments. Like if you're just sitting here like, oh, let me just align this spine, but you're not addressing, oh, you have some trapped emotion. Like you have these emotions that are actually affecting your back. We've got to help address some of the emotional and some of the energetic components that are actually keeping your back out of alignment. That it's important. I've aligned my husband's back just straight with doing energy work. I just went through and was like doing energy on each vertebrae, and he stood up and everything just went pop, 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 pop. And he's like, whoa, this is so weird. And he went to being pain-free. So, I'm not a doctor. I'm not claiming, all that stuff, but there's a point that like when you give your body what it's asking for, or even just acknowledging, and whether that be, heck, even talk therapy sometimes is a form of energy work because it's getting some of that just release out, and then it can help stabilize. So you can totally do some of these things with your practice and make it still be very professional and practical, and have people relate to it and take it as like listen to you as a professional and go, oh, okay. In fact, you could be a bridge to bringing this to the everyday person. That's one of the things I'm passionate. Christy and I are both passionate about this. Is it's like, let's bring a bridge to it. So it's demystifying it all. Like it's not so crazy and weird. It just is. It's just the way things are. It's the way our bodies are made, the way our mind, our heart, the way energy, the way everything just works together. It just is. So I would love to hear how that helped.
Yeah, let us know. And Andrew, I'll add a couple of things. So there might be some good studies or examples to pull out of these two following things that I'm going to tell you. So first of all, there's a book called Potentiate Your DNA. That one has a lot of really interesting studies and quantum science and like a really interesting way of explaining things in that book. And then the other one is a show that I found on Gaia TV. And you can get this through Amazon Prime. It's like an extra, I think there's like a 7-day trial, but I think it's like an extra $7.99 or $9.99 for the subscription per month. And there's a show on there called What the Bleep Do We Know? Like that's what it's called. What the Bleep Do We Know? And it has a lot of really interesting studies in it. Also, they tend to quote a lot of studies out of the noetic sciences. So maybe noetic science is like an interesting keyword to Google as well. So anyway, this is awesome. And Martina's right. Like your practice is probably not complete without having a discussion about how energy affects our bodies and causes physical pain. So very cool. Thanks for asking the question. All right. So yeah, definitely let us know how you feel about that in the comments if you can. Okay, so Carissa, she says, "Hi guys, can you look at what spiritual gifts are coming in for me, like the clairs? I've had ringing in my ears, waking me up at night." I'm also going to drop the little quiz link down below. She's talking about clairs. You can find out your top clair in this quiz, and the link is below.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Carissa. Let's take a look here. Okay, first and foremost, I see like you're learning at an incredible speed right now, which is awesome. I'm seeing just like through your mind and through your eyes, it's almost like this vacuum energy. It's just going like like going around and absorbing and sucking in as much as you can get. So it's really awesome. And you know, it's a great energy to have, especially when it naturally is just opening up and you just have that, I've just got to learn, and absorb, and it's like a leveling up symptom. If it does start to, if it ever does start to diminish, just know that nothing's wrong with you. It just is it's like taking a breath, because right now you're in an inhale state. I don't see it easing up in immediate future, but I just want to just give you a heads up on that. So, because a lot of times when we get addicted to, or not that you're addicted, but when it starts opening up like this, we can almost get addicted to it, thinking that that's our new norm. Like, oh, I'm an awakening. I'm leveling up all these gifts. This is just where it's going to be all the time. It's like riding a high, which is really cool. But just so you know, sometimes there's still that ebb and flow, and it can diminish a little bit. It doesn't mean it's going away. It just means this ebb and flow. So there's something about that I felt like just to give you a heads up, and so that when it comes, you're not feeling frustrated or anything. And then the next time it opens up and it's like another inhale, it's like, here I go, leveling up again. So it's just this, and breathing. The time for breath and taking a break is a moment to integrate it all as well. So all right, so back to, so what I'm seeing here is coming in like fast and furious. Doesn't surprise me that there's ringing in your ears. Almost looks like a rushing wind coming in through you. Let's look here. So let's see what else there is around. I'll look at the ears in just a minute. I'm just going to follow the energy and where it's speaking to me first. So there's that. And then I definitely see the importance of you processing through your mouth. So I love hearing your insights. I love hearing what you're experiencing and learning. Keep it up, keep sharing it, keep talking about it. I love that you're in the gym, so you can just share there. And then this is fun. I'm seeing some gifts. Anyway, it's like through your heart. So it's almost like this clear empathy where you can feel like, and that's the emotions, right? The clear emotion, like, so you can see and know and feel what people are feeling. But with the moment it enters your heart, I do see some gifts here for you where it immediately kind of lifts it up and tries to bring it back out. So that tells me that you probably have strong gifts and interests, probably in like the humanities, helping people, sharing new perspectives, encouraging, being a cheerleader, being a motivator. Reminds me in a way of some of the energies for me, where like one of my strong purpose, my purpose word is like inspire, which is just all about like, let me help inspire and lift people up. So I kind of see some of that similarity in you, which is really fun to see. And then the ears, I'd be really curious to find out if you have anything else going on in your ears. Like, do you hear anything else, or is it just this ringing? Because I'm actually feeling like the ear thing is more like a pressure, like an air pressure. If you picture all of this new energy and insights coming into your head, it's like trying to adjust to some new pressure. So it feels more, it's like around that type of thing. You could also see if, especially when you said waking you up at night, I'm wondering if in your sleep, like you're getting downloads. That's when heaven loves to teach and give downloads and kind of upgrades. I love it. Chrissy's like, like totally. So I'm seeing that you could probably you're probably getting some kind of up leveling going on in your sleep, whether it be through your mind or you're just in that state of receiving. Also, too, sometimes in those quiet moments of the night are when like helpful spirits and angels love to visit, because that's when you're still and you're calm. So if your day is just packed full and you're going, then oftentimes they'll try to get you more at night. And I don't feel like they're trying to wake you up. It's just maybe more when they're visiting you. So I would definitely also recommend there that you could one, set some time out each day to just be still and listen, so things don't have to come in so intensely at night. And then number two, to acknowledge it. And when you listen and you pay attention to something, then it usually will diminish. Like, for instance, whenever I hear ringing, or sometimes I'll feel pressure or ringing in my ear, and I'm like, oh, what is this? Oh, it feels like a grandma that's near you. And then also I'll be like, is this a grandma? And then all of a sudden the ringing goes away. And it's like, oh, okay, it is a grandma. And so, or in fact, Chrissy, you could probably talk about this too, with like the truth thing that comes into your ears. So I feel like just for you, Carissa, there could be something you could pay attention to and listen to. And then once you acknowledge it, then it can kind of dissipate and make the ringing lessen, because you've acknowledged whatever the information is that's coming in. So that it doesn't come in so intensely. So anyway, yeah, let me know how that goes. Some fun up leveling.
Yeah, and what I found with the aches and the pains and the vibrations and all the weird, like, tickles and sensations that your body can feel is, as soon as you acknowledge it, it does tend to go away, but it'll get louder if you don't. So, all right, let's see. Alicia, another Intuition Gym member. Good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would love to know what spiritual gifts you see for me.
Okay, so I'm going to look more at the layering. Like we've kind of talked about this before. So we have spiritual senses, which are like the 10, like they're like little antennas or receptors. So the senses are the receptors to learn the language of your intuition, is to understand what they're saying to you when you're receiving it. And then spiritual gifts are something, or are other things that then work through your senses. So I'm going to just specify, I'm going to look more at the layering of your spiritual gifts. And then if it shows me how they move through your senses, I can tell you that too. But so that's where I'm focusing, is on those layers up for some spiritual gifts. For the spiritual gifts, there's 10 different categories. Wait, yeah, I said that right. Or is there 12? There's 10 of those, 10 of those. Okay. Anyway, but there's all these categories of gifts. So I'm just kind of going through the categories right now to see. It's like I just look for any strands in each of those. And so I do see some, like some of the people gifts that you have. It's like connective. I see some connective gifts with people. Like maybe it's just the ability to reach out, or like as you show up in just your essence and your energy, it just helps to feel connected to other people. It's not that you have to dominate and just be like, uber, hey, come over here, da, da, da. It just is. It's just part of you. So the connective piece elements. I'm also seeing some animals. Like I want to see like pets. Specifically, it feels very much more like a domesticated animal that you have a sensitivity to and an interest of helping them. Like I want to say dogs. It's like a cat or dog. It feels like a domesticated animal, but I see some like strands in there that are even stronger. So let's say you have a person sitting there or a pet near you. Like I just feel like you would really have a really easier time just knowing what that pet is feeling, going through. Your interest there is to help them. Like you just have some gifts there in that realm. And then the people realm, maybe you don't have it the same way as you have a pet, but the people one, like I said, is more just like like reaching out and just knowing that, helping a person just know that they're not alone and that they belong and that they're connected to something. I also see like some gifts with the mouth and with sending, I'm going to say comforting words. Like you've got some gifts with comforting words where it just can, like, hey, you're doing okay. You're doing better than you know. I care about you. Like just whatever you say in the mode of comforting someone, it's going to be amplified because you have some gifts there. And then I also am seeing some gifts with like being able to, this is kind of funny. So this is kind of in like the mechanical type gifts that you can have. Where sometimes those kind of gifts can show you how to build things or how things work. But for you, I actually see this being a gift where you can almost take a concept or take something and then be able to take it apart, like disseminate it. Like you could take it apart and then be able to look at all the pieces of it. So let's say you're learning a concept or you're in a class, and once you grasp the concept, you're like, okay, so I see, and then and you can almost take it apart in all these different aspects to see it like individually, the pieces that are there. So that's really cool because when you identify the little pieces, you know more how to recreate it, to rebuild it, to share it with others in a really more smaller piece there. Some of the I'm seeing like some of the like more like spiritual type gifts. There's something with language. I want to say like understanding a gift of language, like understanding it. This also goes back to almost like you can understand the language of people and the language of what's being said, but it's not it goes beyond, it's beyond just like our actual words. So you can like take face value of words and then understand all of these other complexities within the language. That's a really cool one. You actually may want to even lean into that a bit more. It feels like there might actually be some gifts there where you could hear, like if somebody's talking and there's a phrase, you might have the ability to pick up on different nuances in their tone and in fluctuations in their voice and be able to know a lot of information about them and how to help them just based on listening to them and listening in that whole taking it apart thing and then knowing how to help them. So hopefully, anyway, let me know on those. That's obviously we're very complex individuals and there's tons of layers, and hopefully these give you a few pieces, and then as you also can experiment and explore and identify some more that you have as well, you'll get a bigger picture.
Awesome. Okay, Alicia, let us know how that resonated in the comments. All right, next up is Melanie. She looks like a new face. How fun. I would love for you to give insight into my spiritual gifts to develop and or weaknesses that I can strengthen. It's a great question.
Yes, it is. Okay, hi Melanie. So glad you're here. I'm going to draw a new picture on my paper. I get fresh energy here. Like, hey, Melanie, let's look at yours. Okay, right off the bat, I'm seeing some gifts with your mouth and with your I want to say teaching. It looks like you have this ability to share and to teach, and actually could even be like almost an open vessel. Like as you explore and lean into that gift through your voice, I could see you, like, let's say, being really like having those moments where letting God's voice just move right through you, where you're a bystander going, whoa, I didn't know I just said that, because this is just flowing right out of your mouth. So that's kind of that thread of gifts. So I see the voice, but I do have to also say that sometimes maybe you doubt the things that you say, or you overthink them, or after you say something, you kind of question, like, oh, how did I sound? Was this like this? Was it like this? And so I actually see that some of the things with the mind, whether it's the thoughts, the doubts, and the fears, whatever that is diminishing your gift in your voice. So I would actually just recommend leaning into that as much as possible. Understanding too, this was something that I had to really kind of learn here, is that especially when I first started doing a lot of like speaking. So this was, yeah, like over a decade ago, but it was like, and it's been such a process too. It doesn't just happen overnight, but it was like, as I would just start speaking, I would find myself sharing things sometimes, and it would be like kind of hard. I'm like, oh, why am I sharing that? I don't want to share all that, but I felt totally driven to share. So I would kind of sit and spin for about 3 days after, like wondering if I said the right thing. And one of the first things that came to me was I was praying about why I was sharing certain things. And I heard kind of a phrase come into my mind that said, this experience is no longer yours. So there's definitely a concept here that there's a whole like principle here is that once we go through something and we've learned from it, and let's say we feel like we've overcome it, it really is it's not even part of you anymore. It's like almost like that is a gift to someone else. Because I remember asking, I'm like, well, if this is not mine now, then whose is it? And I was like, it's all the people that you're going to help by sharing these things. So to understand, it kind of like took me in a place of humility of like, I can just share these things. It's not about me. So that was kind of the first level of it. The second lesson that I was learning even a few more years later, because again, I would I'd go speak at an event or something, and I'd go, oh, did I present that right? Did I say this right? And I felt like God really had to kind of teach me a lesson about ego and pride. And it was like, if you're so focused on how you look and how you sound, then you're not fully serving others, because your focus is on yourself versus focus on the others. And so when you speak, and when you do things, and I feel like you do have some other gifts to share with people too. But when you do that, it's as if you're laying it on the altar and saying, here's my my sacrifice. I'm placing here. I've done my best. It's not perfect, just to acknowledge that we're never perfect. Like, we can't be perfect beings, but our intentions and our efforts can be pure. So just lay your pure efforts on the altar, and then let God bless it. And I mean, like, it's really doubting in his ability to go through and to touch people and have them receive what he wants them to receive through you. If you start discounting it and like diminishing your efforts there. So one, you can kind of just lay it there, and then two, just have trust and have faith that your efforts are good enough, and it just is. And then you can also, of course, you can learn and grow and do better and better and better, but that only comes through confidence and actually moving forward on it. So there's definitely a lot of these gifts coming through your voice. I also see some gifts in your mind. So probably you've got some spiritual sense with some type of clear knowing, or clear cognizant, like the knowing pieces. And this is around being able to see patterns in a way, like just to be able to see patterns and to receive the information and be able to, like, it's a little different than what the previous person that I read, but it's like, in a way it's similar, because I just see your mind just knowing how something's going to work, and then you can teach it to somebody. It's seeing patterns, seeing the way it works. And then I see a lot of heart energy in you, which is really beautiful. It's a very I would say resilient heart energy, but it has some kind of push to it, a little bit of gusto in your heart. So if there's a barrier, something hard that someone else is going through, or even yourself, and it feels like it's going to put a barrier in front of the heart, I feel the intensity of your heart wanting to just push right through. It's like, no, whew, like, this just is not going to do. Like, it's just a very, really big gift of the heart, and keeping it open. Think about even that, like, that's breaking through walls and just staying open and being able to love others, and all that beautiful heart energy that is there. It just, you got that beautiful heart energy, but it has a little bit of a push and a resiliency, which is really cool. I've not seen it like that, exactly like that before. So very cool.
Thanks for asking, Melanie. Please let us know how that works for you. Okay, here's the next one. Angie is very aware of our guidelines of asking. I can tell from how she phrased her question. We say, please refrain from asking about other people or other people's energy or circumstances. So she asked her question like she just wants to know her side. Like, how's her energy towards this neighbor? So,
Mhm. Oh, I love that. Yeah, like relationship energy and like even what's coming at you and what's going out from you, that's still you. Um, I won't go like look at your neighbor inside, but we can look at kind of the relationship energy of the exchange because it's relationship energy. And even I love to draw. That's one of my favorite things to draw is because it's like, okay, what's coming this way? And how does this person's energy respond? And what do they send back? And how is it going to, be sent back to you? And so it's like you can kind of read this and hear this whole like energetic relationship flow. So it's pretty cool. Um, okay, so there's something, it's like I'm gathering something's going on coming at you from neighbor, like whether it just be something that they did or say or just interactions. I am seeing it kind of going. There's something about your heart, like it's zinging your heart, or kind of like just like ow, like a little. Um, and the zinging the heart actually is making like your personal power, like it just makes it feel like it's trying to shrink you down, like, oh, I'm feeling a little shrunk, but you don't like the way that that shrinking feeling goes, and so you want to kind of exert more power, more of your personal power, just to like stand your ground on who you are and like honoring your boundary and stuff. So it feels like there's a little bit exertion, and it comes across as a little bit of an overexertion, which, knowing what you're going through, if you're feeling this diminish, of course there's going to be an overexertion just to get it out stronger. But that overexertion can then feel like a little bit of a struggle with the neighbor, where it feels like almost like, oh, why'd you react like this? Like, what does that have to do with anything? And so then I'm seeing like almost their response in a very like cut and dry almost list, like bump, 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 like a very list, cut and dry type of communication back to you. Um, then again, it feels like maybe you're not being seen or understood. The intentions of your heart are not being acknowledged. So it feels like a bunch of that. Oh, I apologize. I'm on vacation for spring break, so I'm not home right now. So the sounds are not going to be quite as quiet, I think. But the one of the main things I just want to point out here is that, to me, the bottom line on this honestly just feels like some core personality differences. It doesn't feel like there's anything really there that's taken personally. It's more just the language of your personality. So if you've taken the intuitive personality type quiz, or if you've watched those videos that are in our free group right now, you can kind of see, like, if you've identified yours, I would actually say that your neighbor has some polar opposite personality types than you. And so it's just a simple like translation issue. If one person's speaking this language and another person's speaking this language, they're not really connecting, and neither one is wrong or neither one is right. It's just different. And so if you watch those, or if you've identified it, then I would say go learn about some of the polar opposite and how they communicate, and then look at your neighbor with those eyes and listen to what her language is and her intuitive personality is. And so that when you interact, you can actually speak their language. And it's just like a decipher, like you can decipher it and translate what's being said and be able to speak into it. And then all of a sudden, it's amazing. Like when I do this, all of a sudden, like the person goes, oh, I feel heard and I feel seen. And things just are like, think, like it just clicks really easily. And they feel like they're totally heard and validated. And I'm like, yeah, this is still my polar opposite, but I'm seeing the value of the way they are. And I'm, giving them, like, just acknowledging it and speaking to it. And that helps a ton. So let me know on that, how that goes.
yeah, let us know, Angie, in the comments how that resonates with you. Okay, so that's the end of our show today. And if you did get an answer to one of your questions, consider paying it forward. You can share this post on your profile or in Messenger. You can tag your friends in the comments, or you can invite friends to like the page. Any and all of those things are great. We'd love to grow the show and help more people. And of course, we love our regular viewers. I think everyone learns so much just by hearing, other answers to similar problems, or maybe you even have a similar gift to someone else, and it makes you think, I wonder if I have that as well. And you can get answers through your own intuition that way. So,
I actually
we're-
just had a thought too that I'd like to just share on this. This is kind of an
yeah.
interesting thing. I've not had this before, but it feels like I just would actually like to invite everyone who's watching or even watches the replay to check in with yourself and ask yourself who could benefit from this show. I feel like there's people out there, or at least I'm saying at least one or two very strongly that could use this. And I feel like that when you guys ask that question, like who could this have benefit and help, that you're going to get names pop into your head and like people to share it with. So I would just say, so this is like for everyone. Ask yourself, is there someone that needs this right now in my life? And then tag them or send them a private message or whatever. But just there's somebody who's looking for some answers or who's in pain and could use some help. So kind of side note.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, so true. I even had someone come to my mind today, and I tagged her in the comments. So I'm not immune either. So thank you so much, everyone. And we'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Mountain. See you then.
Bye. See you then.